What's up, guys? We're out here on Lake Toho, about to go and check out new spots. Just coming out here fishing for fun on my day off. But I wanted to show you guys a quick little video on how to catch them on a jerkbait. Here in Florida, it's one of the best fish producers I've been able to find. Most consistent, it catches them all. It catches big fish, little fish. It's a great bait for finding fish, but only if you're fishing around grass. This thing will work year round though. You know, you hear a lot of people say that jerk baits are only good in the wintertime when it's cold or in deeper holes, and I've really been able to find this thing works year round. It's really not a bad time to throw it. Spring, winter, fall, like right now. As long as you're fishing around grass though, that's the important thing. Right now we're fishing a giant bed of hydrilla here in front of us, and it comes all the way out. You know, it's all out here in the open, submerged hydrilla. And all you gotta do is just rip this thing through the grass pretty much. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how I use it, how I catch fish. It'll catch big fish, little fish. It'll catch everything, really. It's a great fish finder and it's a great fish catcher, especially around those tougher days. They're not biting anything else. Usually they're biting a jerkbait still, as long as you're throwing around the right stuff. So let's get to it. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna put some extreme action into this thing. I'm using a Megabass right here. I'm gonna get into the exact jerkbaits that I have and the colors that I use here. This braid is already caught up on it. That's the one problem with this braid. I like to use braid here because fishing this grass, it's real good for ripping it through the grass. Anything with any kind of stretch is really gonna, you're not gonna be able to rip it through the grass. It's just gonna stretch on you. And this braid will rip it right through, and I got this thing good too. There we go. All right, let's try that again. So I'm gonna be putting this extreme action to it. The key to fishing a jerkbait, any jerkbait, is you wanna jerk it on slack line. See how I got my line slack right now? Let's see. I got my line slack right now. I'm hitting that slack. That's what I'm hitting. I'm not reeling up to it all the way and then jerking it. I'm hitting the slack in the line. That's what I'm jerking. And I'm immediately throwing slack back at it. So I'm jerking it and then immediately throwing slack back at it. Just like that, right here. And that's what's gonna give it that really crazy side to side action. If you're reeling up to it and then jerking it, it's just really gonna jerk it forward. It's not gonna give it that crazy side to side action that's really gonna make these fish bite. So that's really important. And this thing will rip right through the hydrilla, and that's the key. Or any grass that you're fishing, is ripping it right through it. It's gonna get hung up and you just snap it right off. And a lot of times that's when the fish will bite. There's one already. My third cast. These things catch them. You don't need to, go crazy. Did he come off? Yep, dang it. Whatever. That's another thing with the jerkbaits. You do get fish that come off. It wasn't a very big one, at least it didn't feel like. But that's a prime example. Usually if you're throwing a jerkbait in the right area, you're gonna get bit pretty quick. It's a real good fish finder. It shows you exactly those little groups of fish. Like right now, this little cut right here, I found that there's a little group of fish that's always right here. And there's a few other spots on this stretch. There's another one, back-to-back cast. Another one not very big, little guy. Let's see if we can put a bigger one in the boat. I'm not gonna sit here and fish too long. I don't wanna, there he goes, quick release. I don't wanna make this video too long. I just wanna put a few fish in the boat, show you guys exactly how I use a jerkbait and everything, go through the details, and I bent the hook there actually. These Megabass jerkbaits, they're expensive, but they come with a little bit weaker hooks. And I like to upgrade them. I haven't upgraded this one. That's probably why we had a few come off. Now the other retrieve I'll do is one with more of a pause in it. And depending on the day, you just switch up your retrieve. See how I gave a little pause there, 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, pause. You just vary up your retrieve. And sometimes I found that even, when you're pausing it like that, you'll get higher percentage of bigger fish that'll hit it. But it just depending on the day, how the fish's mood is, you just vary up retrieve. Now I'm using 30-pound braid on this. I wouldn't go any lighter than that because you'll get cut off more of a pickerel, and these things are expensive. And also, really, I wouldn't go any lighter than that because I'm fishing this thick hydrilla, and you'll get a bigger fish. It'll take you straight down in it, and you want to be able to have that extra strength to pull them out without having to lose the fish or the lure. When throwing a $25 bait, it's real important that your knot and everything is real good. I just want to kind of show you guys the action of this bait. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it in the water. It's real clear, and we got no wind, so this will be the chance to be able to see it. But see how it's going back and forth just like that? Real crazy jerks to it. That's what these fish want. Just like that. Can't resist it. There's one, just hit it. Dang it. See the boil? I jerked it just as soon as he touched it. I think I jerked it out of his mouth. Now usually you don't lose this many on a jerkbait. Of course, once you pull the jerkbait, I mean the GoPros out, that's when I start losing them. All those treble hooks on it, usually when they hit it, you know, they got it pretty good. Here's another small one though. Bunch of hydrilla around him. Little guy. Told you guys, jerkbaits will catch them all. Even though one's only the same size as the jerkbait. I've caught bluegill off of these things before. Bluegill, crappie. You never know what you're gonna get. Most of the time it's always bass though. But you will catch everything in the area. They don't discriminate, that's for sure. Big, little, small. I moved over to this little hole, which usually there's bigger fish over here, but all we're getting is little ones. It's that GoPro curse. Never fails. I found out about these jerkbaits from a customer. There's another one. Oh, freaking pickerel. Interrupt my story there, buddy. All right, I found out about these jerkbaits, or jerkbait fishing here in Florida from a customer of mine. We were fishing shiners, but he wanted to throw artificials at the same time. So we were sitting there anchored up. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, you can throw artificials, just throw it out the front though, you know, keep it away from the bobbers, don't want to spook those fish. And so he starts out throwing a chatterbait, doesn't get anything on it. Starts throwing a frog, doesn't get anything on a frog. And then he's like, well, what about a jerkbait? You think they'll hit a jerkbait? I'm like, yeah, you can try a jerkbait. I bet you that might be the best thing here. Might pick them off because it's kind of like a shiner, you know. And he throws it out there. On his third cast, gets one. A couple casts later, gets another. A couple casts later, gets another. He ended up catching about 15 while we were sitting there. We ended up catching, it was a crazy day, a little special deal going on there. That's why we caught so many. But he ended up catching about 15 on it. We ended up catching probably 60 bass total between the shiners and artificials. But he just anchored up there, just not even moving. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Just throwing in the same spot, caught 15, caught a 8-pounder, and had a 7-pounder jump off on it. So right there after that, I was sold on jerkbaits, and I've been using one literally ever since. And that was during this winter time. And I haven't been able to find a time where they stop biting as long as you're throwing around grass. Same thing, we were throwing hydrillas out in this scouted hydrilla that I found, and he was throwing the jerkbait, ripping it through that scouted hydrilla and just picking them off. And once we ran out of shiners, we started moving around with these jerkbaits and picked off a few more, big fish, little fish. It was a lot of fun. And sometimes, like that day, the biggest one still came off of a shiner. There's another one. You see, these things are pretty crazy. Told you, they'll catch everything. I don't think this is a big one. A lot of hydrilla around them. But the biggest one that day came off a shiner. It was a 9-pounder. Like I said, it's a little special spot I had during the winter time. Better one at least, but not big. Damn, jerkbait fish. A lot of fun to use these things, especially when you catch them. Just a matter of getting the hang of how to use them and getting that right jerk down. And you can put fish, if you're on the right spot, you can put fish in the boat one after another, just like what I'm doing right now. Like I said, I'm using 30-pound braid. You can use fluorocarbon. A lot of places you're probably gonna be better off fluorocarbon. I just like this braid here in Florida because I know I'm not gonna lose my bait unless the pickerel bites me off. And it's gonna cut through this grass a lot better. I'm using a medium heavy rod, but this, some manufacturers' rods, so you gotta understand your whatever kind of rod you got. Some manufacturer rods will be, you know, it'll be a medium heavy, but it will be a lighter medium heavy, a little bit more bend to it. And some manufacturers, it'll be a medium, it'll say medium heavy, but it's a little bit stiffer. When I'm throwing a jerkbait, I want a lighter rod. I want a medium heavy, but a lighter medium heavy. That's got a little more bend to it. Because with those treble hooks, and it helps with the jerking too, but mostly with the treble hooks when they bite it, because I'm using braid, it's got no stretch. And when they bite it, I don't want them coming off. So I want a rod that's gonna bend a little bit more. It's gonna give a little bit more to the fish if he wants to jump or pull, whatever. Just to keep them on there a little bit better. I also loosen up my drag a little bit, so if they pull real hard, make a nice run, it'll pull drag. Just try and make up for, you know, not having fluorocarbon and using straight braid. But this is just a, you want a shorter rod. Also, you want a long rod, you're not going to jerk. You're going to be hitting the water, hitting the boat, hitting people. Shorter rod so you can get that nice downwards jerk. That's the important thing. You want a downwards jerk on slack line, immediately throwing slack line back at it. Real important. This is a, what is this? This is a 6'10". I wouldn't really go any longer than a 6'10". 6'6", 6'8" is about what you're going to want to a 6'10". 7 foot's going to be too long. I mean, if it's all you got, you can get away with it, you know, until you can get a better rod. As long as you get that action in it, it's just going to be easier with a shorter rod. These things work in ponds. I've caught good fish out of ponds. It doesn't matter where you're at. You don't even need, if you're throwing it in a pond, in a lot of other areas, you know, I'm fishing around grass, and I always say you got to fish around grass, but you don't really have to. As long as you're giving it that crazy action and those pauses when they want them, you can throw it around anything. You can throw it next to grass, hard grass, reeds, throw it around it. Of course, you're gonna get hung up, but they'll bite it in anything, really. There's one. Bigger one, too. There we go. Stay on, baby. Ah, maybe not. Oh, did he come off? Dang it. Of course, dang GoPro curse. That was a bigger one. I don't know how big, but you know, you see how easy this is. If you use the right lure, right jerks, you can just sit in the same spot like I am right now and just, you know, catch them all around you. Keep throwing around you. I've had, oh, there's another one. Look at this, same spot. Oh, come off too. I'm pulling too hard on them is why. I'm getting too aggressive with the camera, trying to get these fish to the boat. That was another good one too. I'm trying to rip them through the hydrilla to get them quickly to the boat. Make them come off. It is thicker stuff that I'm throwing on up here. But I don't even know how many bites I've had so far. I might be number 6 or 7. But these fish are beating me right now. As far as getting off, it's because I'm trying to horse them in for the camera. But anyway, so as you can see here, I got a ton of jerkbaits. I've been loading up on these things. But this is the Megabass right here. This is what I found to be the best one. It's really got the best action. Oh, hold on. It's really got the best action. And this color right here is called Sexy French Pearl. This is the best color I've been able to find. But I'm sure there's other colors. You know, for the most part, you're going to want shad colors. Shad or shiner colors. You know, that's what these fish are biting on. I have a few, you know, sort of more bluegill color ones. This is a KVD jerkbait. These things are pretty good. They dive a little bit deeper. That's what I like about them. So if I'm trying to get down a little bit deeper, I'll use one of these KVD ones. I got the perch color, kind of like a bluegill, you know, here in Florida we don't have perch. And then of course the sexy shad color. I got tons of jerk baits. For the most part, what you're gonna want to find is a jerk bait with this style. Here's another KVD, little chartreuse one. It's for a little bit murkier water. But for the most part, this is a H2O. This is a super cheap one. These things work pretty good. I got a bunch of these. I put a bunch of fish and some nice fish in the boat on these things too. For a cheaper jerk bait, these things are really good. They got the same design as the Megabass. Same, you know, they got the little weights inside too. You can hear them as they shift positions. That's what helps give it a crazy roll too. It doesn't work as good as the Megabass. You're definitely gonna get a better action out of the Megabass a lot easier than the H2Os, but they work pretty good for a cheaper jerk bait. But really, like I said, anything that's the sort of Megabass style, there's a bunch of them on the market that, you know, sort of copy that Megabass style. The RC sticks, for the most part, I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to use more of a solid white shad color like this, or the Megabass. Or when it's real clear out, the water's real clean and it's real flat, no wind, I found that this a little bit more subtle, you know, sort of ghost shad. I don't know what this color exactly is called, but you know, sort of like that ghost color where it's translucent bait. See through it a little bit more, creates a little bit less of a flash in the water and stuff, a little more subtle. And when it's getting a little bit tough and you're not catching them as good, but you're on fish and you know they're there, you can throw this thing and you get some more fish in the boat real quick. I've had days where they all of a sudden just, you know, I'm catching them on this or the Megabass, and all of a sudden they just quit. You know, there's no wind, it's real clean water, real flat out, and you throw on one of these translucent color ones like that, or this is a Rapala one. All the treble hooks are stuck together, but you know, something with a little bit more translucent, not as much flash in the water, and a little more subtle, and you could pick them off, start picking them off again. But for the most part, that's it, guys. I'm gonna see if I can put one more in the boat up here in front of us, because that's another good spot I got up there. I'll probably horse it in and lose it again. Seems to be a trend right now with the GoPros on. But that's it. You can put a lot of fish in the boat with the jerkbait, as you can see. Big fish too. Had a couple of nicer ones on. Don't know how big they were. Of course, they come off. But it's a lot of fun throwing these jerkbaits, and it's the best bite I've been able to find here in Florida. You can catch them more consistent than anywhere else. Definitely the most consistent bait for catching year round. I really haven't been able to find a better bite, except for sometimes the speed worm works pretty good. But even still, when they're biting a speed worm, I found that, you know, the jerkbait is still getting a bit better. There's another one. Not gonna horse it. Take me down to that hydrilla. Come on, baby, come up. She will not come up. Oh my God. Guys, do you see this? I've got a soft shell turtle. This is a first right here for sure. I've got a turtle. I was wondering what the heck it was doing, just spinning in circles down there. I was like, why wouldn't it come up? This thing is freaking giant, guys. Of course, it's on the Megabass. Don't break me off there, buddy. I don't know how the heck I'm gonna get this thing back. But this is definitely a first right here. Oh no, he tried to eat it. It's right there next to his head. Dang it. I don't know, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna get this thing back because it's right there next to his freaking mouth. Guys, we're gonna say goodbye to the Megabass. I'm not messing with him. I'm not trying to lose a finger. No, I pulled him in. I was trying to get the jerkbait out of him, but it wasn't gonna come out, so I just had to give him it. He ate the jerkbait. It was in his mouth, or in the side of his head. That's a first right there. I've never caught a turtle before. That was the first right there. I've never caught a turtle. Jerkbaits will catch everything apparently. Like I said, I've been telling you guys this. It's true. I've caught crappie, bluegill, the tiniest bass, all the way up to 8-pounders on him. It was so deep in his neck down in there. He kept putting his throat, his head back in his shell there, and it kept putting the jerkbait down too deep to where I couldn't even get it. I wasn't gonna get bit. I don't want to lose a finger on one of those guys, and out there. I've only been out here for maybe 45 minutes now, and probably spent 15 minutes trying to figure out what the heck to do with that turtle. So I was only fishing for a half an hour, and I lost a lot of fish. That's what happened because of the hooks on that jerkbait. We were a little bit weak, but you saw I got bit a bunch real quick, and that's what jerkbaits do. So put in the time, put in the work, get that rhythm down to where you're jerking it just right, and you're gonna be putting a lot of fish in the boat. It's definitely worth the effort. So until next time, stay tuned for the next one.